stress, call it burnout, call it losing my way, but last week I finally shut down. I recognised the signs, so did other people, but none of us took any action. Apart from Steve, so thank you Steve for asking me, why don't I just go to the doctor? When I started this vlogging journey just over a year ago, I described it as an experiment, and as with all experiments, there's a time when you need to review what they've discovered. So for that reason, at this point I've decided to do a short series of daily vlogs from now up until Christmas Day to go over what's been going on in the last couple of months. I also said failure is the way forward. Although it was said tongue-in-cheek, I was wrong. It serves no purpose to seek failure, but mistakes can, do and must happen. The amount we choose to expose ourselves to the risk of mistakes and how we respond to them is what informs how we grow as individuals. I recently read this book, The Successful Mistake by Matthew Turner, in which he interviewed 163 entrepreneurs and collated the learning from their mistakes. It turns out that Matthew and I have a mutual connection to Leeds University Business School here behind me, but that wasn't something I discovered until after we met. Over the past few weeks, I'm incredibly grateful for the time and mentorship that Matthew has given to me. He's very kindly given his permission for me to make reference to his work in this series of vlogs. As time passes, I find the idea of me being an entrepreneur has less and less meaning. From my studies, I realised that academics have chewed over the concept of entrepreneurship for so many decades that it doesn't really have any coherent meaning that I can relate to. What I have found, and this was from the outset of this journey, is that the sort of people I have in mind and who I envisage that I may become are those who have such a positive and powerful outlook on their lives because they've found a way to be in touch with themselves, who have been humbled by their mistakes and live their lives without wearing masks. What the past year has shown me is that people who have the courage to be themselves are like beautiful people at a masquerade ball, attracting looks of awe and envy from behind the masks of everybody else, from those too fearful to accept their own beauty. Before I conclude this introduction, there is just one more thing I want to cover. In relation to being yourself, it isn't easy. There are so many forces in the world that work against us to do that. And that's the reason I got sick. I discovered the power of being myself, but then started to lose it again, and ultimately that led to me having to press the pause button that I've been so desperately trying to convince myself wasn't an option. In the end, it turned out to be my best option. A couple of days ago I wrote to somebody who advised me earlier this year to say thank you for his advice. One piece of advice in particular that related to the influencing behaviours with other people. When I first looked up how that approach works and tried it in practice, I found it such a powerful experience that it actually scared me into giving it up briefly. I likened that experience to being a student at Hogwarts using a spell that they didn't have the experience for. In the past few days something clicked and it showed me I was ready, and it brought me a great sense of calm. Even though to do that it required me for a split second to experience the emotional pain I'd caused another person. from the perspective of that person. Perhaps it's the time of year, but I find such moments of self-insight quite magical. Exactly a year ago, I recorded a vlog in which I mentioned my concerns about my eldest brother. Thankfully, he's now in a much better place. But the way I spoke about him at that time is what I subsequently found out is how Andy's Man Club talk about what they do. Recently, I started to attend Andy's Man Club, firstly out of curiosity, but then out of need. What has been started with that organisation is, I believe, magical. It is helping men weighed down by many layers of masks to finally cast them off, to be themselves, even for a short time, and in many cases to literally give them a lifeline. I am 100% certain that Andy's Man Club is saving lives. But why is this relevant to my vlog? Because every man that goes to one of those meetings has to show incredible courage to step across the threshold. Doing so doesn't mean their problems go away. It doesn't mean there won't be any more mistakes. But it does show that there is hope, that they can be themselves, that they can help others, and work towards a meaningful, enjoyable future. And really, that's all anyone can ask. Whether you're an entrepreneur or anyone else. I invite you to join me again tomorrow for my continuation of the series, and I will look at self-care, which seems to be a sensible one to follow on. Thank you. We're trying to record this really meaningful vlog. We've got airplanes coming over every 2 minutes, and in a university that's basically deserted, there's a child playing football with a tennis ball behind me. Couldn't make it up. It was a split second to wonder why I'm doing this. I think everyone's going home.